Welcome back, and thank you for stopping by for the newest episode of the Industrial Cyber Weekly Roundup. I'm Bailey, and I'll be running you through the most recent developments in the industrial cybersecurity world. So let's go! The US EPA issued last month a memorandum that calls for the evaluation of the OT systems used by public water systems when conducting sanitary surveys or through other state programs. Industrial Cyber asked cybersecurity experts how big of a game changer the EPA memorandum will be when it comes to tackling cybersecurity at public water systems. Their opinion was essentially that they do not anticipate the memo will do the job. While the memorandum provides some useful guidance and recommendations, they also pointed out, among many other foreseen shortcomings, that cybersecurity reviews to existing PWS sanitary surveys will be done by state inspectors with no cybersecurity expertise, which could put sensitive information at risk. Catch the article with the full expert insights over on industrialcyber.co. The US CISA, FBI, NSA, and the security authorities of Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, Netherlands, and New Zealand published joint guidance on Thursday urging software manufacturers to urgently make changes necessary to ship products that are secure by design and secure by default. Apart from specific technical recommendations, the guidance outlines several core principles to guide software manufacturers in building software security into their design processes before developing, configuring, and shipping their products. With the release of this guidance, software manufacturers must revamp their design and development programs. To accomplish a high standard of software security, the authoring agencies encourage manufacturers to prioritize the integration of product security as a critical prerequisite to features and speed to market. Over time, engineering teams will be able to establish a new steady-state rhythm where security is truly designed in and takes less effort to maintain. The US CISA published an update to the Zero Trust Maturity Model, or ZTMM, providing agencies a roadmap to reference as they transition towards Zero Trust architecture, superseding the initial version released in September 2021. The objective of the update is to facilitate the distribution of the ZTMM version 2 and educate federal civilian agencies on the updated model and its application to their Zero Trust implementations. CISA also encourages state, local, tribal, and territorial governments and the private sector to use ZTMM as a baseline for implementing Zero Trust architecture. Apart from publishing version 2.0 of its Zero Trust Maturity Model, the US CISA released a response to comments summarizing the comments and modifications made in response to version 1.0. The summary said the published update is a result of many different inputs, including comments gathered during the request for comment period from September to October 2021. It also covered a review of Zero Trust implementation plans with the Office of Management and Budget, as required by OMB M2209. It includes inputs from cyberstat working groups, findings from National Security Telecommunications Advisory Committee meetings, modernization deep dives, and individual one-on-one meetings with agencies, international partners, and the greater IT community. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services HC3 unit observed a continuation of many ongoing trends concerning cyber threats to the healthcare and public health community. Ransomware attacks, data breaches, and often both continue to be prevalent in attacks against the health sector. The unit also reported that vulnerabilities in software and hardware platforms, some ubiquitous and some specific to healthcare, continue to keep the attack surface of healthcare organizations open. The DoD announced that its Software Modernization Implementation Plan, or iPlan, was approved on March 30th by the DoD CIO. The iPlan identifies an initial set of high-priority tasks primarily focused on the common infrastructure, capabilities, and process transformations required to enable software modernization. It also identifies key activities, near-term milestones, and responsibilities for driving the process improvements and capabilities needed to achieve the department's software modernization vision. The plan is a follow-on call to action aiming to establish capabilities that simplify the mechanics of software delivery, allowing teams to instead focus on creativity. The U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security has requested responses from DHS regarding the cybersecurity concerns presented by Chinese-manufactured cranes operating at U.S. marine ports. House members have now called for conducting oversight on threats posed by these cranes. To assist the committee in its oversight of DHS's maritime port security efforts, the lawmakers have requested a briefing focusing on maritime port cybersecurity, as well as the vulnerabilities these cranes in U.S. ports may pose, as soon as possible, but no later than 5 p.m. on April 14, 2023. The Health ISAC and Microsoft's Digital Crime Unit's cybersecurity software company Fortra are taking technical and legal steps to disrupt cracked legacy copies of Cobalt Strike and abused Microsoft software, which have been used by cybercriminals to distribute malware, including ransomware. While the scope is larger and operation is more sophisticated, it represents a departure from how DCU has previously operated. Instead of destroying a malware family's command and control, action is being taken this time to eliminate illegal legacy copies of Cobalt Strike so they can no longer be exploited. Cybercrime threat intelligence firm Kila disclosed its latest report that the manufacturing and industrial sectors were most targeted by ransomware attackers and data leak actors during the first quarter of this year. Lockbit, Royal, and Alfie were behind over 50% of the attacks in this sector, while the US is still the most targeted country, recording 45% of ransomware and extortion attacks. The firm also observed an increase in ransomware and extortion attacks and sales of network access, an important part in ransomware gangs' supply chain, in the first quarter of this year compared to the average metrics of 2022. So that was the highlights and lowlights of this past week. We don't know what will happen in the coming week, but we do know that if you miss it, you can catch up with us here next Friday in the Roundup, or anytime over on industrialcyber.co. See you there.